Hello, hello. It's been a little while. How are people going today? I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to another Toru stream, and I'm your host, I guess, is what we call it. I'm your host, Toru. Glad to have you with us. But yeah, welcome, guys. Welcome. Again, it's been like a week since my last stream, I think. And so I've just been busy with a few things in the background. I've worked on some projects in the background. I also have, I also have some other stuff, like not VTuber related stuff going on in the background as well. And I think for, let's say, the next month or so, I am going through a big kind of period of adjustment, getting used to new changes, getting used to, the new normal, if you will. I think I may have talked about it on Twitter a little bit, but, I did utilize some of my turtle connections in order to try and get myself an inside track on a promotion within Turtle Corp, right? Within Turtle Corp, and I am glad to say that it was successful. I don't know if I've talked about it on stream, but it was successful, meaning that I will be having a little bit of a career change in, the coming month or so, and helping to prepare for like the transition period. Prepping materials, working with my current boss to backfill my current position, all of that kind of stuff has sort of been going on in the background in my life. And so I haven't had a chance to stream as much as I would like. But me not streaming is almost like normal in itself at this point. So, it's not too out there. It's not too out there. But what I will say is that once things start to settle down within the next month or so, then I feel like I'll be able to get a better idea of what kind of schedule I can have going forward. Because one of the things that I do want to do, it's one of the things that I've super struggled with, in my time as a VTuber, in my time as a streamer, is not actually the streams themselves. It's more or less just like getting a consistent schedule and being able to, stream and post videos and do stuff on a consistent basis. And as of right now, I do have like a preliminary schedule for the foreseeable future. Let me go ahead and pull it up right now. Ba-boom. There we go. An ongoing schedule that I'll try to maintain for the foreseeable future. And what it is it's 3 days a week I will put out some kind of content. We do have the weekly YouTube uploads on the Wednesday. We do have the Thursday, which is, a chatting-oriented stream, maybe some gaming. And then Friday, which is like more focused on, the games itself. And what I'll say now is that, yesterday being Wednesday, I went ahead and published my latest video. So, for like the last couple of weeks or so, I have been posting a video to my YouTube channel. Yes, I have a YouTube channel, and it's just been like simple stuff, curated content, pre-recorded content. It's not stream content, it's not clips, it's not something ripped from the stream. It's actually its own sort of videos that sort of stand on their own, and it's kind of just like, hey, I'm also doing this in the background. It's things that I want to do as a VTuber. It's things that I enjoy doing, but it's not necessarily something that I can do as part of a live stream. So I'm going to separate it out, edit the content, and put it together and post it on the YouTube for you guys. So, I did that yesterday. I posted the video yesterday, and then Thursday here, we're just like talking and chit chat, and then Friday we'll be a bit more active with video games. And so the reason is, it's a consistent schedule, but it's something that I hopefully can live up to in the meantime. And then once I get a better sort of bearing for my situation and my schedule, then we can reevaluate and say, okay, maybe I can stream 3 times a week. Okay, maybe I can stream 4 times a week. Okay, maybe I can get 2, weekly uploads out instead of 1. But, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, though, I am going to be doing stuff, as a VTuber 3 times a week. And right now we are here on the Thursday and we're doing, the little sort of stream chat. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just updating you guys as to, what's going on in my life, what's going on at Turtle Corp and that sort of thing. Because, yeah, Turtle Corp has been hit pretty hard by climate change, let's say. I know that climate change in itself has been sort of like a hot button topic, and I have talked about it at length in terms of how things are changing within Turtle Corp. There are changes, people going out, people moving in, and that kind of thing. And obviously, Turtle Corp, it carries the world on its shoulders. So, it's going to survive. It's going to be fine. But there's definitely some shakeups going on. And I think in the interim, a lot of people are going to be asked to, take on a little more responsibility, maybe a little more than, what people signed up for. And I think that that's actually fairly common. Let me just move that away. I think that that's fairly common going on in the world right now. Like, at least I would say for Australia, right? I don't know how it is for people in other countries. I don't know how it is for, for people in other parts of the world. But as far as Australia goes, we do have a situation where, we have a really low unemployment rate. We have a low unemployment rate. We have a lot of people who are wanting to be in work are in work. And while on one hand, that may seem like a positive thing, it also has negative manifestations. What do I mean by this? Turtle man, what did you mean by this? So what I mean by this is the idea that because a lot of people are in work, a lot of people, already have a job, the unemployment level is low. It means that the quality of the work might not necessarily be all that high. So how does this work? Well, if people are, completely full up in jobs and that sort of thing, there's no real kind of there's no sort of demand, right? There's not sort of demand. There's very little supply rather. There's high demand but little supply. And then so what happens is that companies are likely to just hire anyone who applies, or they're desperate to bring people in. And so what happens is, if you bring people in, is that you may not necessarily have people who are the best fit for the job. They're just people who got in first in the door. And the problem with that is that if on the other hand you have people that are leaving, the issue tends to be that it's difficult to bring in new people because there's not that many free workers out there. A lot of people are already employed. A lot of the people who want to be employed are already employed. And so the issue and the problem with that is that, as people leave, if people go, then a lot of the work that they initially had has to be spread amongst the people who are left. Because, when someone leaves a job, the work doesn't disappear. But the problem now is that if someone leaves like a specialist job, or if someone leaves any kind of, important job, then it could take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to fill that position. Whereas in previous years, you could float interest out there, and then you could usually get that person replaced in about a month or so. And so the problem with that is that, there's a lot of extra work that needs to go around, and people sort of have to share the load, at least until that person gets replaced. But who knows how that's going to be. And at Turtle Corp at the moment, I am dealing with a little bit of that. And I won't lie, it's part of the consideration in my mind as to why I am taking other opportunities within Turtle Corp as well, and moving my own position. So instead of the person being dunked on with extra work, I will be the person that will dunk people with extra work when I go. So, so no one makes a fool of Toru. But how are you doing, Setsu? Welcome to the stream. Streamer gatekeeping jobs? No, I'm not gatekeeping jobs, Setsu. I'm not gatekeeping jobs. How are you today, by the way? How are you today? I'm not gatekeeping jobs at all, my friend. What I'm saying is that just because of, considerations with supply and demand, it means that it is difficult to fill positions because a lot of people already have found, the work that they're satisfied with or are planning on moving to another place. And so you get, you're unable to fill roles, and so all of their responsibilities gets divvied up, gets divided amongst the people who are left. And it's not that easy because, if you're encountering a situation where you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months where, someone else's responsibilities is pushed onto you, if you're not looking after yourself, if you're not speaking up and saying, look, I need to be paid appropriately based on these extra responsibilities that I am being loaded with, that I'm being tasked with. Because a lot of companies, if you don't push yourself, they're not going to give it to you. What kind of company, if a company can get your labor for free, then they would 100% do so. So you got to look after yourselves in a situation like that. And so you got to assert your rights. I think one of my turtle friends, he says, Toru, yeah, he says, Toru, it all comes down to knowing your worth. You have to understand and sort of know your worth. And what do I mean by this? It's like, what did the turtle mean by this? The idea is that you have to be understanding of what you contribute to a company, to a job, to a role, to whatever it is. And, this is also applicable outside of employment, but, the context of this is just employment. There are a lot of people out there, especially if they're new to the workforce, where they will be too willing to accommodate an employer because, look, you're new to a job, you're just out of university or you're just out of high school, and you don't want to make a bad impression. You don't want, to get fired. You're concerned. So if you're new in a position, if you have, not that much work experience, or if it's a new industry that you're working in, you're all too happy to accommodate your employer. But the problem with that is that, if you go out of your way to accommodate your employer as a favor, they're not going to treat it as a favor. They're going to treat it as expected. And so what's going to happen is that they're going to treat that as the baseline, So if you don't stick up for yourself, if you don't assert yourself, at least in some way, and say, look, if you're asking me to do this extra stuff that's not what I signed on for, then we need to renegotiate certain things, And it doesn't have to be that, you need to pay me X money, There could be also other ways around this, right? Because that's what negotiation is about. It's about reaching, a level of compromise that both people are, not necessarily happy with, but, willing to take on. And so that means maybe it means you get like a slight pay rise, or you get like a delayed pay rise, or it might mean that, you might get some extra perks or something along those lines. It doesn't have to be that, you need to pay me, this much money, or I'm leaving straight away. It doesn't need to be that confrontational. But at the end of the day, you do have to look after yourself in the workplace, because at the end of the day, my friends, if you don't look after yourself, if you don't look after your well-being, if you don't look after, your career, who else is going to? If you can't, and this again extends to other parts in life, if you can't look after yourself, if you look out for yourself, then you can't expect anybody else to be doing that for you either, So it always, and it sounds selfish to say, right? It sounds selfish to say, you got to look after number one, blah, blah, blah. But, it is important, because at the end of the day, if you don't look out for yourself, who will? And that doesn't mean that you should step over other people to get what you want. No. But it means that, when push comes to shove, you have to know your worth. So that's what it comes down to. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing with regards to Turtle Corp. I'm moving on up. I'm, changing my positions, and I might be putting some people in an uncomfortable spot. But at the end of the day, Turtle Corp is for life, and I need to, Turtle Corp is for life. you know, once you join the corporation, you don't leave the corporation. So I need to be comfortable with my decision for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, for the next 20 years, for the next 30 years, for however long it takes. And so I have to look after myself because, you know, outside of Turtle Corp, I do have my own aspirations and dreams. I do have things that I need money for. I do have, you know, lifestyle requirements and lifestyle desires that I do want met. Some of which, you know, relate back to VTubing. And so, you know, the incoming position that I'm going to be getting is a lot nicer for me. And while there will be a certain period of time where I'm adjusting to how things are, adjusting to the new normal, I am really looking forward to it because overall it's a big positive change in my life. And you know, it's like I'm doing well for myself, which is something that you always want to see. And that's something I want to see with you guys as well. It's not like you need to be ruthless, you know, you need to move up in the corporate world. You need to, you know, you need you need to get your corporate rivals and then, you know, murder them to the tune of Huey Lewis and then wrap them up in a plastic body. But no, nothing like that at all, my friends. But, you know, I do hope that everybody in chat is looking out for themselves in one way or another because, you know, look, you know, VTubing, streaming, it's fun. I really enjoy it. But at the end of the day, it's a hobby. It's something to do in your free time, something to do in your leisure. And, you know, you're not doing it 24/7. You're not doing it 24/7. So you need to look after yourself in the time that, you know, you're outside of watching and engaging in streams as well. But welcome guys. Welcome Setsu. Welcome JP. How are you doing today, my friend? How are you today? Hello. Well said. Oh, probably when I was talking about that you need to know your worth. You need to know your worth and look after yourself. I mean, you know, it should be self-evident, but again, a lot of people who may be new to the workforce may be a little too accommodating. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but at least with how employer-employee relations are right now, you know, you do have the room to assert yourself a little bit if necessary. That's not to say that you become lazy or you become like a prima donna or anything like that. You know, if you're hired to do certain things, then, you know, you should do them. But, you know, you should also take care not to be exploited because, you know, you got to look after you. Otherwise, who else will, right? Who else will? But no, that's just a little rant about that kind of thing. And, you know, that's the one thing that I'm doing, you know, that's one thing that I'm doing. I'm looking after myself, and I hope that you guys are too. Can be good at the start, so you get a good rep, but then you got to be careful. Well, I agree with that. I agree with that in a few ways, right? Because it's like, it's natural for people to want to go the extra mile when they're new, and I did say that. But the issue is like you need to know where to draw the line, because it's one thing to be, you know, a really, really good worker, and it's another thing to be, you know, willingly exploited, right? There are lines, there are limits. It is a gradient. It's not that black and white. And so what I'd recommend is that, you know, whatever job that you take, that you undertake, whatever job it is, you know, you do it properly. You know, you do it properly and you go for it, you know, with you know, as much effort as you can. But at the same time, you know, just don't get ripped off. It's as simple as that. Don't get ripped off, you know. Work hard, do the right thing, but also assert yourself when necessary, right? But yeah, so that's how things are on the Turtle Corp front right now. And actually, like, it's funny because I'm not gonna, I don't have anything to show yet. But it's really, really amusing for me, because as all of this is going on with regards to Turtle Corp, with regards to my employment, with regards to this and regards to that, you know, I also have a friend that's working on something for me. Or, well, not, yeah, like he's working on like a model upgrade, actually. So, you know, maybe around the time when I move to a different part of Turtle Corp and improve myself and improve my situation, there may be a Toru 2.0, you know, in the future. So, yeah, we'll see how we go. Yeah, we'll see how we go. But I'm actually looking forward to the 2.0. Maybe I'll maybe I'll get some artwork or like some initial concepting done, and show it maybe tomorrow or like another stream in the near future. But I am really looking forward to the 2.0 design, because I don't know, it's something that, you know, has just been worked on in the background, completely independent to my life situation. But the fact that it all seems to line up together is actually quite a nice coincidence. So I'm not gonna be complaining. Let's just say that. But yeah, like in terms of other stuff I've been doing, you know, so with people in the chat, you know, what have you guys been up to this week, and what plans have you got for the rest of the week? So for me personally, you know, I talked about how I've been working on, you know, some other stuff. I have the schedule, right? Let's see if I still have it up. Oh, I don't. Okay. I don't. Wait, here we go. Bam, the schedule. So, you know, on Wednesday, I have the weekly YouTube upload. You know, Thursday we're doing this, and then, you know, Friday, tomorrow, I'll be doing more gaming stuff. But on the note of like the weekly YouTube uploads, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I have been doing some like pre-recorded YouTube content, and I honestly have been having an absolute blast with it. It is so fun. It is so fun. It's just a small thing. It's just a little thing, but I've been enjoying it immensely. It's so much fun. And so like, what I've been doing essentially is I've been doing like I want to call them workshop streams, or like they're not really building streams, but like I want to call them like workshop streams, where I have, you know, like a table set up. It's not really a table, it's just a drawer, but where I have a table set up, and then there's like paper sheets in the background, and it's got like a green screen going on. It's got like a green screen going on, and you know, I'm putting stuff together on top of that table. So what I've put together so far is a couple of model kits, a couple of Pokemon, of course, based model kits that I bought at SmashCon 2022, which is an anime convention based out of Sydney. It was happening last month, about a month ago, actually, about a stone cold month ago. And I have been making a couple of videos based on that, and I've been having so much fun. Like the whole editing thing is just really enjoyable. It's weird, right? Because I don't know that many people out there that would say, oh, I enjoy editing videos, I enjoy messing around with, you know, with video software, creating effects and, you know, writing subtitles and things like that. But no, I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Are you going to do song covers once you run out of content for YouTube, Sesetsu? I don't know how to be an audio mixer. That's one thing I'll say. I don't know how to be an audio mixer. Also, you know, song covers, I'm not really much of a singer, Setsu. I don't know. What about you? I know that you had like a, well, I don't, it wasn't 100% like, you know, it wasn't 100%, but I know that you had a, you know, partial karaoke stream recently. I think it was a couple of days ago or something along those lines. But I know that, you know, you were singing a little bit. So somewhere in the internet, there's a channel with a lot of my covers. What kind of covers did you do? Let me know. What kind of, was it like, you know, just like Japanese anime songs, or was it something else? Let me know. I'm actually interested, because now what I'm going to do off stream is I'm going to like look for it, and I'm going to find it, and then I'm going to be using your covers as my BGM for future streams. No, I wouldn't do that. Maybe I would. Japanese songs and Vocaloid songs. Oh, that's not too bad. I mean, you know, it's, I guess I would want to say, you know, we're VTubers. It's like, it's to be expected, right? Vocaloid songs, Japanese songs, like anime, you know, intros and outros, like stuff like that's to be expected, you know? But that's very cool. I am actually going to spend some time looking for that. So, you know, just maybe give me a hint so I can start my search and, and get them playing on stream. But with regards to song covers, like maybe, you know, I'm not a singer. I'm not much of a singer. I also don't know Japanese. So like a lot of, you know, Japanese songs or like the Vocaloid songs or whatever won't necessarily work out too well for me, let's just say. But in saying that, I do enjoy singing. You know, I'm a bad singer. I'm a terrible singer, but I do enjoy singing. To that end, actually, this is a pretty good segue. This is a pretty good segue because pretty recently I went ahead and, you know, I went ahead and I was part of a choir, actually. So there is another VTuber out there. Oh my god, there's another VTuber out there? I thought there was only one. No. There's another VTuber out there, and his name is Professor Bloom, and he's like a musical teacher, themed VTuber, and he actually organized a choir recently. So he got a whole bunch of VTubers together, and then, you know, he gets like opera songs, or he gets classical music, and then he parts it out, you know, into different sections that match the vocal range of the people in the choir. So it operates like an actual choir. You know, you have altos, you have tenors, you have sopranos, you have bass. So it's all very sort of professional. And he went ahead and, you know, got contributions from, I think it was something along the lines of like 20, 25 people, a lot of people who contributed. And he went ahead and mixed it all together, and he released a final product. And so do you guys want to hear it, actually? Do you guys want to hear it? I do have it here. And we can listen to it together. JP says, make a king cover. Well, the Japanese part will be hard, right? The Japanese part will be hard because I'm not particularly, you know, I'm not particularly good at speaking Japanese, you know. I mean, like, if we're talking about speaking Japanese, you know, the best I can do is probably, you know, left side or right side. That's probably the best I can do when it comes to speaking Japanese. That's about it. But no. So talking about Professor Bloom again, he put together a wonderful classical music song with, like, you know, this VTuber choir, and I guess we can play it now. We'll give it a play. I might go ahead and you know, play it again later in the stream, but I do want to show it off now. So we'll go ahead and do that. So if you guys don't mind, we'll just get this up, and hopefully this should work okay. Wait. It's like, wait, where's the audio? No, I muted the tab. Oops. Hold on. Here we go. Sorry about that. Rain has been falling. Oh man, that's hard to hold. These notes are hard to hold. It does blend together well, doesn't it? Man, that note was hard to hit. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And then you can see like all the credits and everything like that. So all of the people that contributed to the song. But honestly, quite wonderful. Honestly, quite wonderful. But yeah, JP, you have a really good point that I'll talk about in depth a little more. You can see me there. Um, a little more, but you talk about how it blends well together, and that is something that you do really notice, right? Because a lot of the people, right? A lot of the people in this choir are what I'd consider like, like musical amateurs, if that makes sense. And that's not meant to be a slight or like, oh, they're crap, blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. Like, I'm a rank amateur, at music and singing and all of that. But the thing is that, Professor Bloom did a wonderful job of setting like musical notes as sort of like he created backing tracks for each of the parts so that we were able to sort of adjust our pitches to match his. And the thing about choir work, the thing about like, large scale music is that when you have enough people that are within like a certain range, then if you stuff everybody together, if you blend everyone together rather, then the end result actually sounds nice, because you hear that sort of like diversity in people's voices and the notes, and it comes together in a really beautiful way. And so I feel like this particular, like the choir stuff in general, is a really strong expression of how, this creative project is greater than the sum of its parts. And so what I mean by that is that you have, like 20-ish people that are there together. And of that 20-ish people, I would say maybe like 15 are not really particularly strong solo singers, let's say, and I would count myself in that 15. I'm not a strong solo singer at all. But by bringing all of these people together and by laying foundations and groundwork for people to aim for certain notes, for people to understand how long to hold certain notes, and sort of, organizing this, and, we're obviously working in the mixing, post-processing and all of that stuff, you're able to really create something beautiful, because you have a lot of people here who are just, amateurs and who are just singing, just ordinary people who are not trained, but they're able to come together and create something absolutely magical, and I'm really glad to be a part of this, project, and I do highly recommend that. I'm gonna link the video in chat, but I do recommend that you guys go give it a like, give Bloom a subscribe to his channel or something along those lines. But yeah, take a look at the finished product as Torrents in Summer, because I think that it's actually quite wonderful. Like, no joke, completely legitimately, completely unironically, it is actually wonderful that we can get so many people, so many VTubers together, that have completely, that live on different parts of the world. They have completely different types of content, people who otherwise would not ever encounter each other. And to have all of these people come together and produce something like that, is just really beautiful to watch. So it's very cool, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. But yeah, that's one of the things that I've been working on in recent weeks. I think it's funny because like I recorded, so like I practiced the song and then I was singing it, and then there were like moments here and there where I dropped the note, or I wouldn't be able to like last as long as expected, or I had issues where I misread the timing, and so I ended my note early, I started my note, early, or I wasn't able to keep up with my breath, I wasn't able to keep up between note sequences, because I tried to ensure that I got the entire thing done in one take. Like that was one thing I wanted to do. I didn't want to have a kind of, I didn't want to have a recording where it would just be chopped up between different cuts, because I wasn't 100% sure how Bloom would be editing it, whether he would just be taking, the cut by itself. And I wanted to make sure that I could do everything in one cut, right? And so it was a little bit difficult because my timing was a little bit off. I couldn't get the notes properly. And so I ended up singing for like 2 hours on the first day. And I'm not 100% sure if I got, I didn't really get to where I wanted to. And so, by the end of those 2 hours, my voice was like hoarse and everything. And I was like sort of like upset with myself. But then the next day, the very next day, I was like, all right, I've made myself familiar with the song. I'm just going to go for it. And, 5-10 minutes into the second day, I got a recording that I was pretty happy with. And look, in the end, I probably overthought it a decent amount, because if we take a look at the final product, like, there's maybe one section in the song where you can distinctly hear my voice. And then, it's like outside of that, I'm basically just part of the crowd. And that's not a bad thing. But that also speaks, I guess, to like how nervous I was about it, because I'm not, a professional singer or anything like that. But, it just goes to show that even if you're not particularly good at something like singing, you can be part of something beautiful. All you have to do is, just put in the effort and, take the time to learn the piece and, just leave it up to people who are good at what they do, because it turned out really well. And I'm so happy with the final result. But it sort of happens to me a decent amount, actually. So what do I mean by that? I'm thinking like, I had a decent amount of practice on the first day. And then on the second day, I sort of like, got it really, really quickly. And so I'm just wondering, like with you guys, like people in chat, has there been any situations that has been like that for you where, you have something that, you struggle with, or that you try and do, and it takes you like a really, really long time one day and you don't get there. And then the next day, you just like instantly get it without, with barely any practice or something like that. Has there been like anything like that for you guys? Because it made like just reciting that and going over, my recording experience actually reminds me of when I did Doom CM. So if you guys are familiar with Guild Wars 2, Doom CM is like a raid. It's supposed to be the hardest raid encounter in the game. And so, it was actually quite fun. But we had a situation where, I had been with a bunch of different groups and we tried progression, and, it was a bit of a struggle. I'm not going to lie. It was a bit of a struggle. And then there was one day where we had like 2 hours or like 3 hours, and, it went all right, but, it was sort of a 50-50 thing. And then the next day, we go back to it, bam, we get it almost instantly. I think it was like the second pull on the second day or something like that. And it was very funny. It was actually very, very funny, because I know, like, at the time, I had been raiding with, like, different groups and different people. And a lot of people were, doing hard progression. They were still learning the encounter, and it was causing people a few issues here and then. I remember, it was like I was under the impression that I would have a lot of issues as well. But then we ended up getting it like on the second day of progression and very early on. And it was like we were legitimately at a point where none of us expected to clear so quickly. And so we sat there going, well, what are we going to do next? What are we going to do now? And so what we ended up doing was that we ended up continuing to raid. We were like, we had set aside this amount of time to do progression. So god damn it, we're just going to keep raiding for like the rest of the hour, or like, the rest of the 2 hours or whatever. And then we went ahead and did like a whole bunch of like other challenge modes as well. to get extra loot and to get people, achievements on the alts and things like that. And it was a very fun experience. But I do think moments like that where, you go through this sort of struggle, where you go through this sort of, and it's just a small thing, right? It's just a small thing because it's just video games. But you go through like this level of adversity, and then, you and the people that you're with, you sort of reach like a point where everything just clicks. And then, something that you had expected to take you a long time to learn and master actually comes to you very quickly because you did all of that work, in the initial part. You did that sort of, foundation work. You learned the encounter. You learned how to optimize your class. You learned how to sort of commit phases to memory so that you can keep your brain power active, your active brain power for reacting to mechanics, right? Reacting to impromptu things. And so you have that shit on lockdown. And I think that feeling of satisfaction that you get when you and your group, when it clicks and then you just steamroll it even though you didn't expect to, I think that that's a very, very satisfying feeling. And I do think that, honestly, it's one of, it's one of the reasons, let's say, people do things like progression raid. Because I do think that, like, my MMO experience is limited to Guild Wars 2. So I guess I don't have, like, the most broad experience of MMO raiding out there. I know that there might be people who play World of Warcraft, there might be people who play Final Fantasy 14 or whatever MMOs are out there. And maybe, people have a broader view of things, but at least as far as Guild Wars 2 goes, I actually do enjoy the progress simply for that moment where things click and, you're able to, to do well, right? To do well, because it's the idea that you're moving from someone who's still learning to someone who's mastered the encounter. And there are people who enjoy the farming aspect, where your team is already good enough that you just demolish the raids and you farm, and it's all about optimizing and getting yourself that extra 1% or that extra DPS to make things really clean, to make the kills really, really nice and smooth. And there is satisfaction in that. I do enjoy that too. But I'm not, it's like I'm not really a high tier like player or anything like that. So, for me, I feel like there's more satisfaction in the progression. But it's like once you get to a level where you can, comfortably farm things, if you're around people that you enjoy spending time with, then, that in itself is satisfaction. That's well worth spending your time. High tier raids, yeah, JP. So, like, again, I'm not really a high tier raider, so I can't speak to like speed clearing or anything like that. But there is a level of like neatness or cleanliness, I guess, when you and your team are just able to farm raids. It's like, you don't need to progress anything. It's all about optimization. It's all about getting that extra 1%. It's all about stacking, everybody doing the best that they can so that they can like skip half a phase, or skip an extra mechanic, There's satisfaction in that. I don't think it's as rewarding as doing hard progression, but, but you can only hard progress in an encounter once, right? Because once you've mastered it, you've mastered it. So, definitely the high of, good raids probably keeps a lot of people coming back every week, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that because like Guild Wars 2 at least is not based on, a gear treadmill. It's not based on gear, right? You reach a hard gear cap, or you can reach a hard gear cap well before ever getting into raids in the first place. And so the incentive to keep raiding has to be intrinsic, or, it has to be intrinsic, or they need to load you up with enough extrinsic rewards to keep you, coming back, right? So that sense of satisfaction is definitely has to be a part of it, because if you didn't feel any satisfaction from farming raids, and if you don't really enjoy if you don't feel satisfaction from clearing the raids really nicely, and then you don't need the money and the rewards, it's like, then why are we even doing it, Then why are you even doing it? What I find fun is clearing a boss without errors and helping someone clear it for the first time. I think that's fun. Yeah, I think that's fun. So, I'm on the fence on this. I'm on the fence, and like, I think it's very, very fun, but I do think that there is some risk involved in the idea of sort of hard carrying someone new to a raid kill, right? Because you want to be when you have someone clearing for the first time, when you have people clearing for the first time, you want them to also understand the encounter. You don't want a situation where the only reason that they cleared is because you have like, you know, some really god tier players that are playing all the supports or whatever, that are hard carrying them and that are doing the mechanics that a lot of people are just don't have any idea about, right? It's like, you know, if you don't know a mechanic exists because someone better than you, you know, sort of safeguarded you from it, and you don't know how to actually avoid it and navigate it, then when you're not playing with that really skilled person, you'll have a lot of issues, you know? And so that's one thing that I would say could be potentially problematic. And I think that it's one thing that has sort of, it's an unfortunate side effect, right? It has sort of proliferated in a lot of like the raid training communities, you know? Like you have communities out there, like let's say Raid Academy is an example, right? And I'm not gonna shit on, you know, people who go out of their way to teach newbies raids. I'm not gonna go and shit on, you know, people for, you know, trying to do their best for the sake of others. You know, it's a very noble goal, and it's a very good community thing to have groups and Discord servers where it's organized runs to help people learn and progress in raids. I think that is absolutely fantastic, and that's amazing. But the issue is that if you have, you know, certain players with a mindset of hard carrying the newbies through, then once those newbies stop becoming newbies, once they've gotten a few, you know, kills on their belts, once they've beaten the encounter, you know, 3-4 times, then they may think that they are at a higher level of, you know, competency with the encounter than they actually are. But the problem is that if you're new, right? If you're new, how are you supposed to know that? How are you expected to know that? If you're new, you're the one that's learning. It should be the people that are teaching you, or the people that are experienced, that should actually let you learn. So that's not on the people who are learning. That's not on the people who do progression runs. But I do think, and I have seen this, right? This is something that I've observed in general, that it is a bit difficult because you do run into situations where people learn through this process. They notch up kills on their belt, but then because, you know, their kills were sort of, you know, with training wheels, let's say, then when they go out into like the greater pug environment, or when they do clear runs in, you know, these servers with other people without said training wheels, it becomes much more difficult, and the ability to adapt and the ability to actually handle a lot of these mechanics sort of like flies out the window because they're not used to it being as hectic as it becomes. And so, you know, that's really on, you know, that's on the experienced players and the trainers to sort of navigate through this. It's not you know, it's not the fault or responsibility of the people learning. I mean, they're learning, you know. What can you do? But it is an unfortunate side effect, and it is something that I do hope that, you know, I know that there are some trainers that do try and address this, so I'm hoping that, you know, in the future we have you know, we have trainers and, you know, people that are mindful of this sort of thing, you know. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, not like hard carry, but within a framework of training progression. I mean, yes. If that's what you mean, then yes, that's good. If that's what you mean, then yes, 100% I agree. You know, like, well, when I was learning raids for the first time, this was, oh my goodness, this was like, it's like 2016, 2017 or something like that. Like late 2016 or something like that. When I was first learning raids and all of that stuff, you know, the ability to do it within like a guild, you know, where people are friendly, people know each other, people, you know, like each other and that kind of thing. You know, they play stuff, you know, together outside of just the raids that week, you know. When people have that connection, it feels so enjoyable to overcome adversities together, right? Like, you know, I remember when my guild group at the time, we noticeably got better. You know, we went from, killing VG, Veil Guardian, and then sometimes Gorseval to clearing all of Wing 1, to clearing all of Wing 1 and all of Wing 4, to, like, in the same amount of time, the 2 hours that we had allocated to ourselves. Seeing that progression and then seeing that level of comfort and seeing people grow and become more confident as players, seeing people research build ideas, research like timings and getting stuff together, like that was so much fun. I legitimately really, really enjoyed that. I don't know at this stage of the game whether I can have that feeling of progression again in Guild Wars 2. Maybe with the new strikes I might be able to, but I feel like at this point I'm like I don't know. I need to find the right group for it. I feel like I need to find the right group, and I don't know if I have, I mean, there are groups that I can play with that are very fun, but it's not the same as like, people who are still learning how the game works, right? Because a lot of the people that I know these days are, experienced people themselves. So it's not the same feeling, but I do think that progression is definitely the most fun part of raids and difficult content. The issue is that you can only do it once. You can only progress once. But yeah. So with yeah. I don't even know what I was gonna say. I was gonna like move to like a different topic and then I just completely forgot. But so what were we talking about before I started? Ranting about Guild Wars. Oh, right, I was talking about stuff that I was doing, right? So I was talking about stuff that I was doing in the background, outside of the stream. And one thing that I have been doing is like a little bit of YouTube content. So I'll show one right now. I'll show one video right now because I have two videos. I have two videos that I worked on, and I'll be happy to show one right now. And I do weekly videos, on YouTube, and I'm hoping that in the future, I can, do some other stuff here and there. But I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So I've been waffling, I've been like rambling, but I haven't even showed you what I'm talking about because this is like pre-recorded, edited content, and I'm having a ton of fun with it. So if we just go, well, we'll go to the gaming panel actually. Let's go to the gaming panel. Oh my god, it's the overlay. It's been like ages since I've had the overlay, but the reason I have the overlay is so that I could properly show off these videos, and also because I guess it depends on what the set is like, but pretty soon we'll be going ahead and doing a little commentary. So we'll be practicing shoutcasting. There's like the Pokemon World Championships going on right now, and they're playing some games. And what I want to do is I want to have the feed open. I want to like show off the actual battles. But instead of having the commentary, instead of having the official commentary, I want to practice doing my own sort of commentary because, well, one, it's fun, I enjoy it, and two, it's something a little bit different because I don't think I've done that before on stream. It's something that I'm not, it's like, I'm not a commentator, I'm not a shoutcaster, but I like the idea of it, and it's something that I do want to practice, and, if people enjoy it, then maybe I can, like, maybe I can shoutcast other things here and there. I don't know. Like, I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about, React content and all of that sort of stuff. And I feel like shoutcasting is a way to, do content where I'm just like watching videos, but in a way that is still sort of, like it's more than just reacting, right? Because I feel like I'm, at least adding something to it. But for the time being, we'll take a look at my Mimikyu model video because this is something that I worked pretty hard. This is something that I worked relatively hard on. So I want to show it off. I want to show it off because I'm proud of my work. I'm proud of my work. I consider this video a big W because for the longest time, I have for the longest time, I have wanted to do like pre-recorded content, YouTube content, and that sort of thing. So having this here, just I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. So we'll go ahead and we'll watch this. So let's go. Hey, who are you? What are you doing? You're not supposed to be in here. Well, you're already here, so come on in. The name is Toru, your favorite, hopefully, turtle VTuber, and this is my model kit building workshop. Say, do you want to watch me build this Mimikyu model kit that I bought at SmashCon 2022? Oh, who am I kidding? Of course you do! I'm still trying to muster the free time to be a better content creator, and I do want to experiment a bit with the stuff that I put out, so please enjoy, and let me know if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. So, we're gonna go with a narrated commentary here because asking me to live commentate while I put together simple models that children can do is kinda like flipping me over and expecting me to get back up on my feet. I can do it, but only with great difficulty, and that wouldn't make for a nice video now, would it? So, like I said earlier, I got the model kits from SmashCon 2022. Now, that is an anime focused convention based out of Sydney that usually happens every year. It was my first time going to an anime convention actually, and I was a little taken aback at how many people were there, as well as the amount of cosplayers. It was really cool. Now, up until that point, the only convention that I had attended was PAX AU, and that's a gaming oriented convention. So, at that convention, all the cosplayers really stuck to, one main group with some isolated cosplayers running around too. But there were definitely more this time around. In saying all of that, the PAX that I went to was a long time ago, and I had stopped going to conventions in the interim, even before the pandemic. Honestly, I regret not taking the chance to go to more conventions, and I'll probably be attending more in the future, which hopefully means more content like this in the future. It's actually kind of funny, because the reason I was so put off from conventions after
The
PAX
numbers,
AU
Mason, what
was
do
the
they mean?
intense body odor. It stank really bad. For all the memes about stinky anime enjoyers, it's actually gamers that need a shower. Now, with all of that said, the overlap between the two communities is fairly big. Now, my speedy grandfather aside, us turtles are not the fastest of creatures. So how about we race to the finish with the power of editing, hey? Okay, I have no idea how to do B-roll. Gomena, sorry, I'm trying my best, guys. There we go. There we go. So that was like some of the stuff that I've been working on, in the background. Crania, welcome to the stream. How are you? How are you today? How are you in general? I hope you're doing well. But welcome to the stream. I'm really glad to have you here. JP says, soulful camera pan. Yes, it was very soulful. Soulful meaning bad. I don't know how people do camera angles. Like, I see all the time. Content creators on YouTube, they have like the B-roll, right? They have the B-roll where, it's like for computer parts or for other things, they have like these nice sort of like camera pans and things like that. But I've just got my phone as a camera, and it's pretty as you guys can tell. So Crania was saying the light is so bright. Yes, it actually is. It actually is very bright. And the reasoning that I have is that, we can see here the background there. That's actually all green screen. That's not actually the background. The background there is just like green paper, and then I edit that in post, right? I edit that with my video editor. And so in order to better get the background working the way I want, we need like as much light as possible in the area. So I have like a small like kind of light that helps that shines some light in the area. But it is very bright. It is very bright. I do agree with that. I'm good. I just finished. Oh, Assassin's Creed 3. You finished that. Nice. Man, it's been a little while since I've streamed. I remember the last time. You talked about Assassin's Creed 3. You'd only just bought it. So now to hear you say that you finished it, it feels like there's been a little bit of a time skip here, A little bit of a time skip. No, but I'm glad to hear it. That's good. I hope you had a lot of fun with the game. And, what have you got planned next, Crania? What have you got planned next? Are you going to go to Black Flag? Are you going to play something else? What have you got planned, my friend? JP says, work stuff coming up. I will lurk. No worries, JP. Thank you for coming. I do appreciate it. Hopefully, you can get back a little soon. But, Kenjo, welcome. How are you doing today, my friend? How are you doing? Hopefully you're doing all right. I've just been showing off some of the stuff that I've been working on in the background, my YouTube videos, the model kit stuff. I am planning on doing like some more stuff over the next week or so, it's like over the coming weeks because, based on the schedule, let's see if I can pull it up. Here we go. I want to do weekly uploads on YouTube. Right now we're doing the talking stream, the chit-chatting stream, and then we have like more focused gaming tomorrow. But I do want to keep to the weekly YouTube uploads, because these are a lot of fun. And so the idea is going to be that, we're going to go ahead and, do stuff every week, and then I'm going to upload it on YouTube. I already have Black Flag. I'm halfway through it. Nice. Because I hear that Black Flag is like one of the best in the series. Like a lot of people that I know who have played Black Flag enjoy it a lot more than, some of even the newer Assassin's Creeds like Odyssey and Origin. So I hope you're enjoying it. But yeah, I'll be doing like a weekly YouTube video, and what I have next week planned is like some PC building related stuff. So I'm hoping that pans out well, right? I'm hoping that's going to be really, really good because it's a lot of fun to do, but I hope it's a lot of fun to watch as well. But we'll go ahead and we'll start with like the Pokemon stuff. Ooh, wow, this is going to be a good game. Okay, so we'll start with the Pokemon stuff. I'm going to pretend like I'm a shoutcaster. I'm going to pretend to commentate. And let me just get some background music going on. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear that. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay, so right now, here we go. We have the Pokemon World Championships, guys. Pokemon World Championships. And so we have two competitors here. I believe this is round 3. You can see there's Swiss round 3. We have Oriol Plaza, who is Spanish, and we have Hirofumi Kimura, who is Japanese. And you can see their teams in the corner there. You can see Oriol, and then you can see Hirofumi. And oh wow, is this a mirror? Oh my god, this is a mirror. So they have exactly the same team. So this particular format, right? This particular brand of competitive Pokemon. Hold on, music's a bit loud. Just give me a sec. This particular brand of competitive Pokemon is based on doubles battling. I know that when a lot of people play Pokemon competitively, they think of singles battles, so 1v1 like in the story. But this particular competitive Pokemon that they play in the championships is 2v2. And so we have different formats and different rule sets. So, Pokemon that you can bring, limitations on items, limitations on this and that. And we can see here, Oriole has led with Zacian and... Okay, so it's Zacian and Whimsicott versus Zacian and Thundurus. And the important thing to remember here is that Zacian is probably like the strongest Pokemon in the game. It has excellent typing, it has fantastic offensive stats, and it has, you know, impressive bulk as well. We can see the two teams there. Hirofumi, I think, has the Whimsicott and Thundurus. Meanwhile, Oriole has the Thundurus and Zacian. So, in this particular scenario, you have Zacian as like the primary offensive driver of both teams, at least right now. Oriole looks like he has also brought his Thundurus, which is also a powerful offensive Pokemon. It's also a powerful offensive Pokemon. Whereas Whimsicott on Hirofumi's side is more of a support Pokemon. And so what Hirofumi's Pokemon can do is provide sort of speed control and statistical support. What do I mean by that? It can, you know, increase the speed of his team, allowing them to attack first. And it can, you know, lower the stats of the opposition and all of that stuff. So we have Oriole who's Dynamaxed his Thundurus here and protected his Zacian. So Thundurus is actually a pretty powerful Dynamax option. It is one of the mechanics. Yes, there we go. There's the charm in this game. And then so he's probably... Ooh, okay. So he's chosen to Dynamax the Thundurus, and then he's protected his Zacian. Hirofumi has attempted to lower the attack on the Zacian with a charm, but thankfully for Oriole, he was able to block that with a protect. And so we have the max airstream going out into the Whimsicott, taking it down to Focus Sash. So it only has 1 HP left, but it's still alive. And this is very important because it can, you know, it can go for speed control, or it can go for another charm to reduce the attack on the Zacian. It depends on what Hirofumi, determines is more important. So Thundurus has used 1 turn of his Dynamax. It used Max Airstream, which, you know, does a lot of damage, but also increases the speed by 1 stage. Here we go. So the oppose, So Hirofumi is going to go ahead. So he was probably expecting a oh my god, that KOs. What? Wow, that's impressive. Okay. I wasn't expecting that at all. I really wasn't expecting that. So what happened there was that because Whimsicott used Tailwind, they were able to obtain a faster speed than Oriole's team. So Hirofumi Zacian went ahead and knocked out Oriole Zacian, which enables a Thundurus at the end of the turn to KO Hirofumi's Whimsicott. But this is the reason why. Speed control in these sorts of games are very, very important, because the idea is that you have, like, if you can make sure that your offensive hitters go first, then, you know, what is your opponent going to do about it, right? They have to react to you. And so that's why it's very important to get speed control going on in this game. But now Oriole has brought out his Whimsicott, so he's able to match the speed. He's able to match the speed with its own Tailwind, and, you know, his Thundurus will have offensive pressure into Hirofumi. However, Hirofumi has his Zacian still on the board, still completely healthy, and now he has his own Thundurus out on the field. And we can actually see, based on the HP stats, that even though these two teams are identical in Pokemon, they're actually built quite differently, you know? They're built different. And so we can see here Hirofumi, he's going to Dynamax his Thundurus. And he actually has a little bit of a Dynamax advantage now, because Oriole's Thundurus is, you know, already damaged, and it only has 1 turn of Dynamax left. You get 3 turns of Dynamax attacks in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I guess it depends, yeah. So they'll go with Tailwind, and this will allow Oriole's Thundurus to go first, right? So Oriole's Thundurus is going to go first. He's going to use Max Lightning. This shouldn't do a whole lot, maybe half. Yep, it's about half. And it sets the electric terrain as well. I think that he just wants to get damage out. And what I suspect Hirofumi might do is Behemoth Blade into the Oriole's Thundurus. There we go. And that should KO it. And then he's going to get a max airstream off on Oriole's Whimsicott. And I think that It's going to be difficult for Whimsicott to us. It's going to be difficult for Oriole to come back in this game, because the one thing that Hirofumi did really well, was he was able to instantly take out Oriole's Zacian. And Zacian is, one of the strongest, it's the strongest Pokemon in the game, but it's one of the strongest hitters in the game. And by taking out, primary offense, through speed control, it just makes it difficult for him to react. But his last Pokemon is Calyrex, so he may have a shot here. It depends if it's Choice Calyrex. So right now, no, I don't think he can win, because right now Hirofumi's team is faster, right? So it would need to be Choice Scarf Calyrex in order for this to actually work out for Oriole. I don't think he can win, because right now Oriole has Tailwind up, which doubles his speed, but Hirofumi has... Oh, okay, he's going for the quick attack on Whimsicott. And then probably like a Max Lightning, Max Airstream, so he just wants the speed control. That's fine. That's fine. The Airstream goes out. It does about a little more than half, maybe 60% damage to the Calyrex, and we'll see what Calyrex does in return. It's probably going to use something like Astral Barrage, and it chips away at both the Thundurus and the Zacian, but crucially, it does not KO either. And I think that this is really, really important, because you get an idea of how much damage that that Calyrex is going to do to these Pokemon for future games. We can see here he uses Behemoth Blade because they have the speed advantage. And so I think at this stage, the game is over, because this is his last Pokemon. It's not going to survive a Behemoth Blade. So I think that, this is game 3 in the set, actually. This is game 3 in the set. So we didn't get to see, the first 2 games. Because the thing is that with these games, right, they work in sets of 3. So, you have 1-1 on each team, and then it goes to a third game, and then this game was the tiebreaker. So I don't know what kind of adjustments were made in between each games, but obviously if you win game 1, then you don't adjust game 2, and then the person who loses has to adjust, and then, you do these sorts of like mini adjustments to win games in the full set, right? But in this particular one, we only saw the last game, and I would actually say that Hirofumi had very strong board state from the very beginning. Because the thing is, he led, right? He led with Whimsicott. And Zacian. Whereas Oriole led with Thundurus and Zacian. Now, the reason why this is important was because Whimsicott is a superior... speed control user. It has access to Tailwind, it has access to priority moves with Prankster, and it applies a lot of pressure onto, the Thundurus and the Zacian. And we could see turn 1, right? You could see turn 1 that Oriole protected his Zacian. In order not to get charmed, right? So this meant that Hirofumi was able to get basically a free Behemoth Blade off onto the Thundurus, which put it in a difficult position for turn 2 as well. And I think it was just really, really, really smartly done. Really, really smartly done by Hirofumi, because he identified that with this team, like the team that he's running, it's very hyper offensive. It has a lot of fast Pokemon. It has, hard hitters. They want to hit first. And so he used his Whimsicott at the start of the game to apply early pressure in order to get early speed control. So you have, it's like this idea where you have one Pokemon that is not doing any damage, but it is supporting in a different way. It's applying pressure in a different way. And he used his Whimsicott really well to that effect. I think that, if Oriole had his time again, he might have, wanted to go the slower game, or, brought like, Pokemon that could deal with that kind of, fast-paced strategy, And so what do I mean by that? I mean Pokemon that can slow down your opponent. Pokemon like Incineroar, Pokemon like Gastrodon. I think that Gastrodon actually would have been a pretty good bring. But then the problem is that, you have the Whimsicott, and the Whimsicott might have Energy Ball, and Energy Ball is just going to demolish, Gastrodon. So you know, that's the thing with Pokemon, right? That's the thing with Pokemon. There's a lot of 50-50s, and a lot of the game is won and lost on team selection. So you have situations where, you know, you can bring 6 Pokemon, but you can... So you have 6 Pokemon in a team, but you can only bring 4 Pokemon to a battle. And so what that means is that, you know, team selection is just as important as selecting your moves. You know, selecting the team is as important as selecting the moves. It doesn't matter, you know, how well of an in-game player you are if you identify a bad matchup and, you know, if you, you know, lead with a bad matchup, let's just say. So I think that Hirofumi did really well. He played to the strengths of his team, which is hyper-aggressive, which is fast-paced, which is, you know, getting in there, doing heavy damage, using Zacian as an offensive cudgel at the start rather than as a sweeper. I think that was very smart because, like, you know, you have Pokemon like Incineroar that act as a very strong check to Zacian, but then, you know, both teams also brought Thundurus along, which is, you know, a way of, you know, punishing, you know, Incineroar, because Incineroar has an ability called Intimidate, which reduces the attack of the opposing field, but then, you know, it gets Uno reversoed when you bring a Thundurus. So, really well done by Hirofumi. He played to the strength of his team. He played super Unga Bunga, super aggressive, let's just say. But you like to see it. It honestly makes for fun battles, because the battles are quicker. They you know, they don't take too long. There are some battles that, you know, take like 20, 30, 40 minutes or whatever, but that battle was done, you know, relatively quickly. You know, that was only like a 10-minute battle or something like that. It was only about 5 turns in total. But then there are some games that you play, you know, some games that you see where it's sort of ridiculous, where you have like, you know, 10, 15, 20 turns and it just drags on, and, you know, people play stall and that sort of thing. And that's not that entertaining to watch. So what I will say is that, you know, the opinions in the community about this specifically are split, but I would say, you know, the advent of Dynamax in Pokemon Sword and Shield has allowed the game to be a lot more aggressive, a lot more fast-paced. You know, a lot of hyper-offense teams don't get punished the way that they used to in previous formats, in previous games. And I think that from a spectator perspective, it's probably a good thing. You know, it's probably a good thing, right? Because a lot of the slower games, like the stall-oriented defensive tactics, is not that fun to watch. You know, I think a lot of, like, hardcore VGC players, hardcore players might say, you know, Toru, you idiot, you double-digit IQ moron. You know, it takes more skill because you got to predict turns in advance and do a lot better with that. But no, I prefer the Unga Bunga. I prefer a format, a kind of game where you don't have to think so hard. You know, you just press the button, you press the big Dynamax button, and you do damage. You Unga Bunga. But no, that was a very entertaining game. That was a very... I will say that Hirofumi from turn 1 had the advantage. And so I won't say it's a one-sided game, but the fact that, you know, the two teams were mirrors meant that it was very difficult for Oriole to re-establish like a working board state, because like the Whimsicott, with its ability to inflict priority status moves, was really applying a lot of, you know, not offensive pressure, but a lot of, like, you know, support pressure. You don't, because it's like Zacian is such an important Pokemon. You want to do what you can to safeguard it. But what happens in that kind of situation is that, you know, you get pinned, right? It's like a, you know, it's like a situation where no matter what you do, you're going to incur some sort of punishment. You know, that's the idea of, you know, that's the idea of pinning. So with a lot of the... I would say with a lot of singles Pokemon, so like the Smogon formats and things like that, a lot of that is oriented around sweeping. A lot of that is oriented around setup. You know, you establish your hazards, you establish, you know, your conditions and things like that, and you set up your Pokemon, you set up your sweeper in a way to just, you know, demolish the rest of your opponent's team. But with VGC, with doubles, it's more based on like pinning predicaments where, you don't necessarily have an individual Pokemon that like sweeps through an opposing team. Sometimes you do, a lot of times you do, but other times it's about like pinning them in a position where no matter what they do, they're going to incur some sort of damage and lose resources, And so a lot of VGC is based around that. Oh, man. All right, so now they're doing like post-game interviews and that. So I think for now, I'll just I'll leave that for now, and then we can go back to like some other stuff, right? We can watch my other video. We can watch my other video, right? Because yeah, we'll just watch the other video, my other building kit, because I put some effort into this. I'm really happy with how it turned out, so I want to show it off, guys. I want to show it off, So the first model kit was, me building a Mimikyu model. And this one, the second one, is going to be me building an Eevee model kit. And it's a similar idea. Similar concept. But this time we're working with Eevee instead of Mimikyu. So let's take a look. Oh, hey, it's you. Welcome back. Don't mind all the noise and everything. Look, building plastic model kits can get kinda hectic and loud and dangerous and... Wait. How do you keep getting in here without a key? Hello once again. So today we'll be working on an Eevee model kit. Now this model kit was also bought at SmashCon 2022. So that's why we have our old friend Mimikyu to keep me company as I put together this cute creature. I don't know why exactly, but there's a poll conducted on Business Insider that actually ranked Eevee as the 9th most popular Pokemon of all time, with its evolution Umbreon being ranked at 6th highest. So it's not only subjectively cute, it's objectively cute too. Now, I remember when buying this, I actually had a chance to buy a whole lot of different model kits over Eevee and Mimikyu. They had a bunch of cooler Pokemon on display to purchase as well. They had Rayquaza and a lot of other legendaries too. And of course, there was also a novelty Pikachu on display. But I was pretty set on these two particular models. See, with my bag and my luggage, I could only fit 2 kits to bring with me, and even fitting these 2 were a struggle in themselves. And honestly, I wanted to have cute Pokemon over cool ones, if that made sense. So I went with Mimikyu and Eevee over all of these legendaries. But there was a lot of choice in the models to buy, honestly. Like, not just Pokemon, but there were also other types of models to get. Gundams being the largest in number and variety, which, makes sense, right? Now, actually, there were also some Pac-Man model kits too. And if you had won a little game, you could have gotten them at a discount. See, they had a little contest at the booth when, coming in, where you had a tiny basketball, and the goal was to get it into the ring within 2 attempts. I actually bounced the basketball to get a feel for it, and a couple behind me openly wondered if I was going to make it in a single shot. Now, I bounced the ball nicely, but that's about it. I completely whiffed both shots because the weight of the basketball kind of put me off, at least that's my excuse. My first attempt went super wide and the attendant had to go chasing after the ball, like halfway across the booth. My second attempt was a bit better, but I still missed, and I sheepishly walked across all the model kits that they had to sell after. Now, I probably bought these kits partially because I was so ashamed of myself. But you know what? That's a blessing. A blessing in disguise. Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting more models, honestly. Like, I have a lot of fun just like doing these sorts of videos. So yeah, if anybody in chat has any kind of ideas or recommendations for model kits or small things, like the idea is just like, small things that I can work on with my hands, right? And record like this. So if there's anything that you guys might have in mind, maybe it's a specific model kit, maybe it's, something unrelated to Pokemon, but, maybe like a Gundam or something along those lines, or maybe like an anime related thing, let me know. Maybe not in the stream if you don't want to talk about it now, but, just let me know. Please let me know, because I'm looking for suggestions, I'm looking for feedback and that kind of thing. But there we go. The Eevee is really, really cute. It's really, really cute. Anyway, there we go. That's the video. Oh my god. A lot of random stuff as my recommendeds. But yeah, there we go. That's the second video. And so I plan on doing a third video for the next week. However, it's not going to be model kit related because I don't have any other model kits to build. I only bought 2 at SmashCon 2022, and so that's all I've got right now. But what I would like to build, or something that I would like to look at in the future, would actually be, PC related stuff. So I have a few ideas for PC related videos. I've got one where I want to convert like internal drives to external drives using like small enclosures. I have one where I want to clean my GPU, right? Cleaning my GPU, and, blowing out the dust, and, it'll be like disassembly of a graphics card, what's involved in that. And then also, the final one is I want to put together like a full PC for my friend. It's like, I've got a friend, he's a good guy, and he has gone through some rough times in the last few years, He's had like, surgeries on his hands and stuff like that, just because he's had wrist problems and everything. And so he's going through the recovery and all of that. But he currently has a potato. He kind of has a bit of a potato PC. And so I want to do him a little bit of a solid and, put together something nice for him. It's not going to be like a top of the line, it's not gonna be like a top of the line PC with like an RTX or whatever. No. But it's gonna be a noticeable improvement on what he has now. Like, I'll be using a lot of parts that, like I own already all of the parts. I'm just like getting rid of them, and I'm just putting them together and then like sending them off. Like, it's not gonna be like a super, tricked out PC or anything, but it'll be solid. And it'll be a noticeable improvement on what he has now. And so that's the main thing, right? Because, there's no point, super improving. Amy Chibi, welcome to the stream. Welcome. How are you? Is that a beaver? A beaver? I don't see. I'm not a beaver. No, I'm not a beaver. But how are you doing? Amy? Hope you're doing well today. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, my friend is he's a good guy. He's doing it a little bit rough. So we're gonna try and build him a PC, and hopefully we can record that and then make that into nice and fun YouTube content. Cute hat. Thank you. You got any Bidoof with you? I don't, unfortunately. I don't, because I'm a turtle VTuber, like the Pokemon that I really love. Hold on, let's see if I can find him. I'm pretty sure. Oh man, here we go. This is the Pokemon that I love. Alright, but Bidoof's cute. I like Bidoof. The Bidoof, very cute. But yeah, Wartortle is my favorite Pokemon. Wartortle is my favorite. But yeah, hopefully we can, turn that into some, edited YouTube video, which is, quite nice. Because I enjoy like pre-recording these videos, editing them together, and having fun with them. But we'll take a look at if there's any games going on right now with Pokemon, or if they're still in like interviewing people. Okay, so it looks like we're almost at about to start the next game. So we'll go ahead and put on the BGM, right? The background music. So, for people who might not be aware, what's currently going on and what I'm currently showing on screen right now is the Pokemon World Championships. This is 2022, and this is for Pokemon Sword and Shield. So that Pokemon does have tournaments, when I first heard about this, I was actually pretty surprised, pretty shocked. Like, what? Pokemon has tournaments? Yes, they do. And this particular one is for Pokemon Sword and Shield using the VGC format, which is doubles battles. And so here we go. So we can see our competitors here. So, we're just watching along, and I want to do like some pretend shoutcasting, I'm not particularly... well, I've never done it before, but I like the idea of talking about stuff like this. And so we have Dylan on the top, and he looks like he has a rain team centered around Kyogre and Zacian. Meanwhile, Matty Morgan below has the opposite. He has a sun team revolving around Groudon and Zacian. And so we have the eternal foes, even if it first got showcased in, Emerald, what is it? Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. Even though it first got, showcased in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, the enmity, the rivalry between, Groudon and Kyogre still exists to this day. Because these two Pokemon are some of the most powerful Pokemon to have ever been made, even up until now. And then Zacian is just like, the most powerful, full stop. And we can see that these two teams rely on very, very different archetypes. And so we have, a rain-based team here, and then we have, a sun-based team here. Because we can see, Pokemon like Whimsicott, like Amoonguss, like Zacian, they actually do appreciate having the rain up, because it cuts the power of fire moves in half. It cuts the fire moves in half, and it enables them to, work better in this kind of situation. It reduces the damage that they take. However, on Matty's side, on Matty Morgan's side, his strategy is to pump out that sun with Groudon and probably use a Pokemon like Charizard to just sweep through an opposing enemy's team, right? Because Charizard is very, very strong in Pokemon Sword and Shield. I don't know. I feel like the Pokemon Company gives it really preferential treatment. Every generation, it gets like some special mechanics. So we can see Matty starts out with the Charizard and the Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is primarily known as like a support Pokemon. It has a wide variety of moves that allow it to, aid its teammates or, inflict status on the opponents. And so, Matty started with Grimmsnarl and Charizard, and Dylan has started with Thundurus and Incineroar. And we saw Thundurus, right? We saw Thundurus in the last game. Thundurus is a very offensive Pokemon. I don't mean that he's like... I don't mean that he's saying offensive things. I mean that Thundurus itself is a Pokemon that is designed and built to do a lot of damage. It's frail. It's a glass cannon a little bit, and Dynamax does help it to mitigate some of its issues, right? And so you have the support Pokemon in Incineroar backing up the offensive Thundurus. Meanwhile, on Matty's side, you have the offensive Charizard being backed up by the, supportive Grimmsnarl. And so we can see that, in VGC, in doubles, you have a lot of team archetypes and a lot of team strategy that is built around the idea of having one, super giga powerful Pokemon and then having it being supported by, less powerful Pokemon, but still quite strong. So we have Incineroar using Fake Out into the Grimmsnarl, preventing it from moving this turn. And then the Thundurus using Max Airstream into the Charizard. Oh, into the Grimmsnarl. Oh, okay. Enabling it to, outspeed the Charizard next turn. Interesting to see. So it's Life Orb Thundurus too. Opposing Charizard uses Wildfire. So they're just going straight into damage. However, it does a lot of damage, but not as much as maybe Maddie Morgan would have liked, simply because, ooh, this Charizard is not a Life Orb Charizard. So it really needs the sun to do, you know, it needs the sun to do a lot of damage with its moves because of its ability. And so we have, you know, turn number 2, and Thundurus currently outspeeds Charizard. Now, this could be kind of concerning from Maddie's end, because if Thundurus is capable of one-hitting, you know, the Charizard, then Incineroar will also be able to KO the Grimmsnarl, because it's faster, right? Because it had the speed boost from earlier. Oh, but Thundurus is using Max Guard. Okay, that's different. And this comes out with Reflect, and this would allow the Charizard to, you know, survive the initial hit. All right, so Flare Blitz to knock out the Grimmsnarl. Okay, and then I imagine maybe like I don't know what Charizard's gonna do here. Is he gonna attack into the Thundurus? Rockfall! Wow, Rockfall! Wow, that's a bit shocking. Okay, so this Charizard has Ancient Power. So he's revealing it game 1. All right, Porygon is coming out. Oh, wait, sheesh. I clicked on the wrong thing. I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, so now Zacian comes out for Maddie to replace Grimmsnarl. Okay. But then the problem is Thundurus is fast. No, that's actually pretty good. I would say Maddie is in a relatively strong position, simply because, right, the Reflect allows it to survive an attack from Thundurus, and Zacian, in return, applies a lot of offensive pressure as well. So he's going to use Lightning, probably fishing for a crit. Doesn't get the crit, unfortunately, and we can see that, you know, the damage to Charizard is significant, but he can survive it in large part because of that earlier Reflect from the Grimmsnarl. It's what? It's weak. Oh, jeez. It's weakness policy Charizard? Are you kidding? This Charizard is boosted now. He's boosted. Zacian uses Sacred Sword into the Incineroar, and that should KO. Yep, it does one hit. That's a very offensive Zacian, and Charizard uses Airstream into the Thundurus. Now, this is important because this will allow Charizard to potentially outspeed a Zacian or even a Scarf Kyogre next turn. So this is actually very, very significant. And Dylan has sort of pushed himself in a position where he invested heavily into his Dynamax Thundurus, but was unable to get a lot of significant value out of that. So we can see that, you know, Dylan puts out his Zacian. Maybe he has Whimsicott in the back, but it's probably Kyogre, because Kyogre is the other, you know, restricted legendary, and, you know, you want to keep as many restricted legendaries as you can in your team. So we have a situation where Kyogre has, you know, Kyogre is good in the sense that he has, you know, the weather. So it means that Charizard's fire attacks are not doing anything. However, you know, Charizard is able to outspeed the Zacian. So, you know, he will get the first move off me. So he applies, you know, pressure onto Dylan. So I guess at this stage, I'm not sure what Dylan's going to go for here, but he's put himself in a really rough position. The other thing to consider is that Maddie's Zacian is the fastest Pokemon on this board. So you can pretty safely go, like, use your Zacian to hit into Kyogre, and then Charizard to hit into Zacian. Again, this is another situation where having speed control is vitally important. So his Zacian uses Protect, that's fine. So Behemoth Blade into the Zacian. Ooh. And then what's Charizard going to do? Hurricane into the Kyogre. So, you know, that did a lot of damage. That did a lot of damage. Origin Pulse. So this should KO the Charizard. Do maybe 60-70% to the Zacian. 75, let's say. Yeah, right about 75. 3/4. Okay, so I would say that Maddie is still in a pretty strong position. The speed control and the way that they played out the early game allowed him to split his damage. So it allowed him to make a safer play. It allowed him to make safer plays. And now he can bring out Groudon. His Zacian, you know, can freely attack into a Dylan Zacian. And then this Groudon can probably go for like Precipice Blades or something really, really safely. Because Kyogre now in the sun, he's lost the Weather War. Kyogre, Dylan has no way to KO that Groudon, at least this turn. So what they need to do, Zacian can Behemoth Blade into Dylan's Zacian, and then it would probably KO it. And then, you know, Groud... Oh, he could go the other way too. He could go the other way too. Attack into the Kyogre because, you know, Dylan's Zacian won't be able to KO the Groudon, and then Groudon can just use Precipice Blade. So I think this game is over, personally. I think this game is over. He uses Behemoth Blade. And this should do like 60% maybe. Oh, into the Zacian? Yeah. So he's just hoping for Precipice Blades to miss. That's his out. That's his out. Is he going to get it? No. Is he going to get it? No. Okay. I guess you got to play for your outs. You got to play for your outs. So, like, what happens in this kind of game is that when, you know, you're slowly pushed and edged, you know, towards a corner because you're constantly being pinned, right? What I'll say is that Dylan was not able to get really good value out of his early game, you know. I'm finding it very, very common for people to max Thundurus turn 1. And the reasoning for this is because Thundurus has a lot of really, really strong tools as a Dynamax Pokemon, but outside of Dynamax, it's really, really weak. You know? And I see when a lot of Thundurus gets led, the idea, the intent of having a Thundurus lead is to try and catch an opponent's Incineroar, right? Because Incineroar will use Intimidate, which will trigger Thundurus's Defiant, which will allow you to sweep, right? But the problem is that if the gamble doesn't pay off, then you're put in a really tough position where you need to either reposition, which will cost you board position, or you need to like Dynamax the Thundurus, which is not always ideal. So what I'll say is that, you know, Matty did really well there. He did really, really well there to, you know, like he used his Charizard. He's got Charizard and everything. And yeah, Charizard is strong. But he did pretty well to ensure that he could get his hits off, right? He could get his hits off. And I think also, you know, his Charizard is probably trained specifically to survive a hit from, like, you know, a max Thundurus, right? Because, like, when we get to competitive Pokemon, it's not just about the Pokemon that you use. It's also how you build them. How you build them is really, really important, you know? And so in cases like this, you know, a lot of players will build their Pokemon in specific ways in order to, you know, do certain things. And what I mean by certain things, it's like you can survive a specific hit, or you can, you know, take a specific KO. And that's the intent behind a lot of like the various EV trainings and things like that. You know, it's like, you know how when you play Pokemon and you're playing through the single player campaign, you have like the drugs and everything, like calcium, iron, and all of that stuff, like the supplements, and then you give that to your Pokemon and then their stats go up a little bit. That's what it comes down to, right? Because, you know, those drugs, those supplements, they only raise your stats by a certain amount, and you can only have a certain amount of stats to play with. And so the idea of allocating those stats in a specific way to reach certain milestones and to reach certain benchmarks is absolutely key to team building. So we have here, it looks like they've repeated this. Yeah, it looks like they've repeated the same leads here. Looks like they've repeated the same leads. And so, you know, you have Matty with his Grimmsnarl and Charizard, and then you have Dylan with his, you know, with his Thundurus and Incineroar. What I suspect might happen here is that Dylan might go out into his, like, his Kyogre or something like that, or I don't know. Yeah, who knows what the guys will pick for their moves. Why is my music not working? Hold on a sec. Give me a second, guys. I have background music, but it's not playing right now. Oh, okay. 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 There we go. Why is Chorizo always strong? Charizard? Yeah. Well, I don't know why, Kenjo. I don't know why. I feel like I feel like the Pokemon Company really looks after it because it's super popular. So again, Dylan is going for the turn 1 Dynamax on Thundurus. So I'm not sure, like, surely he's going to be doing something different to before. Right? Yeah, because Matty Morgan's going to max his Charizard as well, right? So it seems like right now it's just a repeat of Game 1. But based on the damage that Max Lightning did to Charizard with the Reflect Up, I suspect that the Charizard is EV'd to live Life Orb Max Lightning Thundurus. So we'll see how this plays different if it does. Yeah, the opposing Grimmsnarl gets the Reflect Off. Okay. He's going to go for the Airstream. What? Into the Grimmsnarl? Into the Charizard directly. Okay. And then he's going to hit him with like a parting shot, right? He's going to hit him with like a parting shot, maybe, in order to help neuter the Charizard. Yeah, in order to like reduce the offensive capability of Charizard. And then I think if Charizard hits Thundurus with G-Max Wildfire again, it'll do much less damage. Okay, so let's see what he pulls out. He pulls out the Kyogre. And yeah, it's going to like do nothing to Landorus, to Thundurus now. Let's see. Oh, he's going to go for Airstrip. So he's going to keep up with the speed, but it does a reasonable amount to the Kyogre, but not a lot. You know, not a lot. So it depends on what Dylan wants to do here, but I actually do like Maddie's position here. I'm not going to lie. I like Maddie's position here. You know, even though on paper, Charizard looks like a really bad bring, you know, actually, Dylan probably has a better position than last game. But, like, even though technically if we're going by type, you know, Kyogre and Thundurus are both strong into Charizard, I still think that, Trick, there we go. I still think Matty has some tricks up his sleeve. Lagging Tail, Life Orb, oh, that's big. That's very, very big. And it's going to be like a Water Spout or Origin Pulse or something like that. Nice. That's very big because this is going to ensure... This is going to ensure that Charizard ends up moving before Kyogre. Because currently Kyogre is slower than the Charizard. So this is pretty significant. The thing is though, he's going to have to use G-Max Wildfire if he wants to take advantage of the chip damage. And I don't know if that's going to be that useful here. So he's going to withdraw Kyogre, probably bring back in Incineroar in order to soak some extra damage. Because there's not a lot Charizard can do to it. So we'll see what we'll see what Matty has chosen. He's withdrawn Grimmsnarl, probably out for Groudon. Okay. Groudon. And the intent is just to, you know, just to get the fire going. Okay, Wildfire. Okay, into the Incineroar. It still does a decent amount of damage. But it doesn't do that much. Airstream probably into the Groudon slot. Oh, into the Charizard slot. Okay. OCAT, welcome to the stream. How are you today? How are you doing today? Oh, you've got... Wait, hold on. I feel bad for asking. But are those new emotes? Did you just get those? I don't think I've seen you with emotes before. Doing well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, we're just playing a little bit of a... Well... I'm watching people play Pokemon at the Pokemon World Tournament, and I'm trying to commentate, but it's actually really difficult. So the board state right now between the two teams, I would say Dylan has a much stronger position than last game. So Matty has already won game 1 in the set. The sets are 3 games. But I would say that Dylan has a stronger position here because his Incineroar has only just come out, so it can go and fake out the Groudon. The Charizard has been somewhat muted, and you can use Thundurus to just KO it. But that's good to know. Well, so when did you get the emotes going? Okay, sends out Grimmsnarl for the easy sacrifice, so he can, you know, bring back out, Groudon later. Blast Burn into the Thunderous, I imagine. This might KO. Whoo! Whoo! One hit. Man, even though Charizard has been somewhat neutered, you know, it's like, it's still so strong in the sun. Okay, so he's gonna... Okay. So I imagine what Dylan is going to do here is he's going to use Zacian to KO that Charizard. Simply because Blast Burn is an attack where you have to take one turn off to rest afterwards. So he's going to have a free KO into that. As for Grimmsnarl, I don't know what Grimmsnarl is going to be doing. Grimmsnarl, like, what can it do? It might actually swap out the Grimmsnarl for Groudon, but I would not recommend that. Because Incineroar basically has like a free Flare Blitz into that Grimmsnarl slot, right? Because like, Grimmsnarl can't trick the Zacian. Oh! Okay. And then he's gonna what? Charizard must recharge. He's gonna Flare Blitz into the Charizard. I wasn't expecting that. So I guess the idea... but that's within quick attack... No! Oh, okay. Goes down to solar power. Man, all of these like different conditionals happening on the stream, like at the same time, it confuses me. Okay. So again, I guess this is just like the primacy. It's the primacy of speed control. Moving first to deny your opponent a turn. That's like the name of the game here. Last week I stopped being a lazy. Hee. Half of them are in pending jail though. Okay, well then I gotta take a look and see how they're going then, you know, because like I might go ahead and take a peek, you know, at some of your emotes later, you know, and add them to my collection. All right, so we have a board state here. So we know that Dylan has a Pokemon lead, but I would say right now that Maddie is applying a lot of offensive pressure. Why is he applying pressure? Because Groudon has the capacity to KO both of these two Pokemon right now. What? Incineroar has Protect? What? Is like dying here. Oh, into the Zacian. Okay. Groudon Precipice Blade. So the Incin protects itself. Okay, this is actually an ideal scenario for Dylan because what he can do here, yeah, the Zacian goes down and then he has to bring out his Kyogre. Oh, it's not really an ideal scenario. He brings out his Kyogre. It will change the weather into rain. And then what he needs to do is he needs to like double hit like an Origin Pulse or like, you know, or something along those lines. If this Kyogre has Choice Scarf, then he can use like, you know, you can use Water Spout or whatever. But if it's not, then it makes it a lot more difficult because Zacian will outspeed the Kyogre. And if it uses like Play Rough onto the Kyogre, it might just KO it. So it's a very difficult position. Again, this is just like almost every game is just demonstrating how important having proper speed control is. The ability to, you know, have your Pokemon move first and smack the crap out of opposing Pokemon is so important. Zacian used Sacred Sword. Oh, but then if the Groudon hits... Wait, the Incineroar is faster? Was it from a speed boost? Wait, no! It's full speed in Sin. Oh, that's wild. That's wild. This is going to win him the game. Full speed in Sin. Let's go. Okay, so historically, because Incineroar is historically a support Pokemon, it's primarily built to be bulky. It's primarily built, you know, to soak up a lot of damage. But I think this particular Incineroar is built to be fast. Protect in order to ensure that it can live another turn. And then Water Spout. Okay, this should... Yeah, it KOs in the rain. Okay. Wow! That's impressive. That's so wild. This, Dylan's team has a lot of tricks up its sleeve. I'm really impressed. Because the typical Incineroar The typical Incineroar is built to be bulky. The typical Incineroar is built to soak up damage. But Dylan's Incineroar is actually built to be fast. So here's a little bit of knowledge. So Incineroar has a base speed of 60. Meanwhile, Groudon has a base speed of 90. So in normal circumstances, without additional speed investment, Incineroar has a natural speed stat of 80 in VGC, 80 speed. Meanwhile, Groudon has a natural speed of what is it? 110, right? 110. So normally, most teams will have Groudon at like 110, 115, and then Incineroar is at like 80 to 90 speed. But Dylan must have raised his Incineroar to have much higher speed levels. It's either that or there was like an Airstream boost that I missed out on or something like that, or like some sort of like gimmick or mechanic, right? And so what ended up happening is that, fast speed Incineroar was like at 122 speed, 123 speed. So that's like, to me, that's like the only way that Dylan's Incineroar was able to outspeed that Groudon. That's crazy. I really wasn't expecting that at all. Wasn't expecting that at all. But that sort of shows, right? That sort of shows that, in this particular tournament, people will go all out. People will go all out and do things that's not standard. They'll do things that's not expected. And the reason why they won't do things that's, not standard or unexpected is so that they can catch their opponents off guard. So, I would say that Dylan adjusted really, really well to game one. Because in game one, my key takeaway was that his Thundurus barely got any value out of Dynamax at all. It wasn't able to take KOs. It wasn't really able to, apply powerful speed control. And then this allowed Maddie to just, one, outspeed, but also two, just one hit KO a lot of Dylan's Pokemon because, they weren't set up properly, right? They didn't have the right support. However, in game two, the story and the situation was completely reversed. Instead of Thundurus not getting much value, I would argue that Charizard did not get that much value. Yes, Charizard was able to take that one-hit KO on the Thundurus, but after Dynamax, I would say that Thundurus had already fulfilled its role, So I would say it wasn't that big of a deal. And, Dylan had a lot of tricks to ensure that he got, deceptively strong speed control in the end game. And what do I mean by that? I mean that he was able to lead his fast Incineroar and then get the jump on Maddie's Groudon. And the other thing that he had for speed control, it's not general speed control, it's just for a specific move, is that he was able to have a Zacian with Quick Attack. Quick Attack is a priority move, and it's not very powerful, but it allows you to attack, first, right? It's because it's a quick attack. It has extra priority. I think that, the general strategies for these two players are going to be the same each game because, you've played a certain way for the longest time. And so Dylan's going to Dynamax his Thundurus. Matty Morgan is probably going to Dynamax his Charizard. And then it's all about, predicting the 50-50s and seeing which player gets more value out of their Dynamax. We know we have the surprise from game one that Matty Morgan's Charizard is actually weakness policy, and this allows it to function relatively strongly outside of Sun. Charizard is primarily a Pokemon that is used in Sun teams because it gets such a power boost from, having Sun on the field. However, by having weakness policy as its, a held item, if it gets hit by a lightning attack, by a rock attack, by whatever, by a water attack, it allows it to still function as a really powerful sweeper even out of Sun, and we sort of saw that, right? So G-Max Wildfire into the Thundurus. Okay, interesting. Very interesting to see how this will pan out. I'm surprised that Dylan didn't go for the same move because it seems like the two of them went for the same moves that they did, Dylan did the same moves that he did in game 1. Maddie did the same moves that he did in both games, which is, max Wildfire into the Thunderous and fake out into the Grimmsnarl, right? So it's like this same board state. This is the same board state as game 1, I would say. And I would say that this advantages Maddie Morgan more. The reason why is because Charizard is still a threat on the field, but I will also say that having the extra speed on the Thunderous, I think it can actually take out the Charizard at this stage. So Charizard's going to max guard and avoid the... Yep, it's got the trick for the lagging tail. Yep. Okay, I'm not surprised. So if he max lightnings into the Charizard, that's... Bam! That's huge. That's huge. He doubled into it. Okay, I would say definitely that Maddie got a lot more value because lagging tail is another form of speed control. Guys, I cannot stress enough, in the game of Pokemon, it is so important to move first because the game is like oriented around being able to move first so that you can pressure your opponents, so that you can pin your opponents, so that you can KO them without them being able to do a thing to stop you. Wow, that's impressive. So Incineroar protects, but now Charizard can just go straight for the Thunderous. He max guards. Okay. I would still say Reflect. Yeah, I would still say that this greatly benefits the Charizard. Rookfall into the Thunderous. He protects himself, but if we take a look, he's taking a lot of damage. He's taking a lot of damage from Wildfire. So what you can even do next turn is like protect the Charizard and then just do something with the Grimmsnarl, Or you can sacrifice the Charizard if you really wanted to. Let the Thunderous KO it. And then the Thunderous will KO itself with a Wildfire chip, right? Man, that's wild. But I would say, you can use the Grimmsnarl for some stuff. Because I think Grimmsnarl Spirit Break into Thunderous plus Wildfire Chip will actually KO it. And I think that the Grimmsnarl is in a position where it's not going to get KO'd by either Thunderous or Incineroar. So what I'd actually but it's so hard to justify this because part of me is thinking, well, Dylan should move in his Incineroar to try and pin Maddie on the next turn, but that's really difficult to justify. Now that's cool, but the game is a lot of 50-50s. This game is a lot of 50-50s, and it's navigating and finding out how to make the right decision. Ancient Power. All right, there we go. Into the Incineroar. So he's just going to ignore the Thunderous because it's going to Wild Charge. It'll KO the Charizard, but then the Recoil and the Wildfire will also take out the Thunderous. So it's sort of like an even board state there. There we go. See? You can see it's fainted. Ba-boom. Okay, so who's next? Who's coming out next? Right? For Dylan, I would recommend... I would say probably Zacian, because you want to be fast. Yep, you want to be fast. You want to get that speed control in. And then if Maddie puts out his Groudon, it applies a lot of pressure to these two. But because we know, my friends, about Incineroar's speed, they're actually in a prime position to just double into the Groudon slot. And then so in order to protect himself from that, the Groudon can protect and then use the Grimmsnarl offensively, but Grimmsnarl is not doing any damage to Zacian and it's not doing a lot to Incineroar either. So I would say that Dylan's got himself in a pretty strong position here, simply because his Pokemon are faster. So he can, apply that sort of pressure. But we'll see how, it pans out. Withdraws Grimmsnarl for Incineroar, right? Gastrodon. And then protect Groudon, maybe? Zacian uses Protect. Okay. Flare Blitz. Okay. So he's going to accept the hit, if that's the case. He's just going to accept the... He got a burn! Oh, that's huge! Ow! Oh, that's huge. That's huge! Because I'll say that what burns do is that it halves the physical attack of a Pokemon. And so now, Groudon does not have the capacity to one-hit KO the Zacian, and it may not even be able to get rid of the Incineroar this turn. So I'll say that Dylan has got himself into a pretty strong spot. Pretty strong spot. But, you know, you could still lose. You could still lose. Gastrodon is actually really strong here as well, because it's powerful into Zacian and into Incineroar. It has positive typing against the both of them. You know, play rough into the Gastro. So he's correctly identified that the Gastro is like the important Pokemon. Okay. And then he's going to save his Incineroar. He's going to save his Incineroar for later, right? Because then you can get that final Intimidate on the Groudon. And then he's probably going to bring in his Kyogre. Yep. And Kyogre will probably just, it's a safe Ice Beam into the Gastrodon slot here. Next turn. Gastrodon's probably going to Earth Power into the Kyogre. Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Interesting. I'll say that right now, Dylan is in a commanding position because, you know, you can use your Zacian to like pressure. Oh, so you can double into the Gastrodon if you really wanted to, or you can split your damage. Very, very good position for Dylan right now, I would say. Because Kyogre is Ice Beaming into that Gastrodon all day. You know, you don't want to give Gastrodon a special attack boost. You know, you can hit it. You can hit it with the Ice Beam. And the good thing about Ice Beam is that, you know, if Gastrodon swaps out to Kyogre, the Ice Beam still hits it for super effective damage. So it just depends on whether, you know, Kyogre has Ice Beam. We actually don't know yet. Okay, into the Grimmsnarl, and that should just KO it, right? And then we'll see what the Kyogre does here. What's he going to do? Ice Beam. So he does have it. He does have it. Okay. It's going to be very tough for the Gastrodon to get out of this. Yawn into the Zacian, I imagine. Yep, that makes sense. And then Groudon is going to come back out, change the weather to sun, right? So what Kyogre can do, what Dylan can do with his Kyogre is withdraw it for Incineroar, get that Intimidate on the Burn Groudon so it's barely doing anything. But then, you know, what Gastrodon could do is it could either protect or it could yawn. So what I'd actually recommend is you withdraw Kyogre for Incineroar and then you just attack the Gastrodon slot with Zacian. Because you're not going to get KO'd by Groudon after it's been intimidated and burned. And Gastrodon can only do so much, right? You can either protect to prevent itself from getting knocked out. Oh, he swapped it the other way. Okay. And then what? Protect Kyogre? He swapped it the other way. Interesting. Okay, we'll see how this pans out. Okay, Kyogre protects. Okay, so that's a safe play too. That's a safer play. I was arguing for like a more aggressive play. This one's a safer one. Because if Incineroar survives here, then you can pin using Fake Out. Yeah. Oh, it just survives. Yawn into the Kyogre slot. Yep. So I would have played it more aggressive, but this play is safer. This play is undoubtedly safer. Light screen's worn off, which means that Ice Beam is doing more damage now. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, the end game is not so much based on speed, it's more about positioning. But we can see over the course, right, of the battle, how important having proper speed control is, right? If you can ensure that your hard hitters can move first and KO, or at least, you know, mess up the opponent's hitters before they can do anything about it, then at the end of the day, you know, you're winning, you know? That's what the game's about. But let's see what they're gonna do here. I think that Dylan is in a pretty commanding position because he has more outs. So Gastrodon protects. So he might lose Incineroar this turn, because Incineroar Fake Out and then maybe Ice Beam into Gastrodon as well, or Ice Beam into the Groudon. Good call. It's not going to KO, but it does a lot. So Stone Edge into the Kyogre, hoping for a crit. It doesn't do a lot. I think it's very, very difficult from here, because at this point, Kyogre can just freely KO the Groudon, and Incineroar can do significant chip to the Gastrodon, right? And if you wanted to play safe, you could protect. But I think you should just go for damage because Dylan still has the Zacian in the back, right? He still has Zacian in the background. Gastrodon can only KO Incineroar or Yawn the Kyogre slot. You know, it's like you're limited in your options. Gastrodon's only one Pokemon. You can't 3v1. I think it's too much from this stage. It's a little bit difficult from here. So Zacian comes out. We can see what Gastrodon is going to do in just a second. It's a shame too because I like Gastrodon. Gastrodon, yeah, so yawns into the Kyogre, but you know Zacian is out, so you know it's like whatever at this point. You just bring out Incineroar so you can pin for the fake out next turn, and then you just play rough with Zacian, and then you're good to go. So it's very tough for Matty Morgan at this stage. We draw Kyogre for Incineroar. Very good. And then you just play rough into the Gastrodon. If you wanted to play safe, you can protect as well. But I would just play rough. Exactly. And that just KOs. And that's the game. That's the set. Game, set, match. Dylan wins. It's pretty interesting to see like how the two players adjusted from, you know, how the two players adjusted. And what I'll say is that I feel like, well, obviously because he won in the end, Dylan did a lot better in adjusting. We can see that in all three games, Matty Morgan went for the same opening. And even though Dylan also had the same Pokemon to start off each game, he played it differently, you know, each time. You know, in game 3, I was a little bit concerned, but I think that he did like really well to, you know, to sort of turn things around. Because I would say that the early game went to Matty Morgan, but, you know, he probably lost control of things like speed, and it sort of cost him in the end, you know? It sort of cost him in the end. Interesting battles, though. Interesting battles. I am happy because, you know, Kyogre did win. And I am personally a fan of water Pokemon for obvious reasons. So I enjoyed that. It was a good back and forth battle against two weather titans. You have Groudon versus Kyogre. It's the classic, right? It's the absolute classic. And so I'm really happy with, like, you know, how the battle went and that sort of thing. It's good to see like people adjusting between each game. It shows like the thought process that even if you have a set way of like playing your team, you can make like micro adjustments to how, you know, you handle each turn, and this can allow you to, you know, more wins and that kind of thing. So really good. I will also say though that Dylan did get a bit lucky. He got the burn on the Groudon. And the burn on the Groudon with the Incineroar Flare Blitz meant that Groudon could no longer threaten a one-hit KO. Onto Zacian, which, in my opinion, was huge. It was a huge determining factor in how the fight went. Because it meant that Dylan could be more aggressive, or, you know, just ignore the Groudon and not pay it as much attention. So when Matty had the endgame of having Groudon and Gastrodon in the endgame, he knew that, you know, Gastrodon was the more important target. And so with his Zacian, he targeted that Gastrodon because he knew that the Groudon wasn't that much of a threat because it was burnt and then intimidated. But if Groudon had the capacity to just one-hit Zacian for the entirety of the endgame, I guarantee you that it would have been a closer game. That burn really did play a big effect. But you know what? At the end of the day, that's Pokemon. You know, sometimes you win some and you lose some. I do think that Pokemon having such RNG elements can be a bad thing for overall balance and the competitive metagame. But, you know, part of RNG and part of, you know, being a strong Pokemon player is learning and understanding how to mitigate you know, RNG and ensuring that it plays as minimal of a role as possible in your success. So That's it. But anyway, this game is done for now. I know that they'll be showing off, other games and other rounds and that kind of thing, but it may be a little while before the next one comes on stream. So we're actually just gonna hop on over to the chatting desk, and we'll probably finish things up. I enjoy the commentary. I'm glad you liked it, JP. I'm glad you liked it. Look, it's a new thing for me. Like, I've never done live commentary like that, pretending that I'm actually good at Pokemon. I've never done that before. So it's a little intimidating, and I'm not sure if it came off as well, or like if it came off as really rambly, but I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Yeah, so I appreciate it. So thank you. But I'm gonna hop off soon. I'm gonna hop off in just a couple of minutes. But I do want to thank everybody for coming along. I do want to thank you guys, because it's been a little while since I've streamed, and like most of the stuff I've been doing is like my videos on YouTube and that sort of thing. So I am glad that people still come along to the streams and that kind of thing. So thank you guys. I really do appreciate your presence. And tomorrow, I have a USB hub. Sorry about all that. I have a USB hub that like holds a lot of my different devices, right? It's got my Stream Deck, it's got my mouse, it's got my keyboard. So whenever like it happened again. So whenever I bang the desk really hard, like the USB hub sort of like it sort of like rattles a little bit, and then everything just goes out of order. So I can cause myself microphone, webcam, mice, and keyboard issues at will, guys. There we go. But no, I'll readjust the USB hub to be like in a more stable position, because yeah, right now it's in like a little bit of an uneven position, and that's why it happens, right? That's why it happens. It's because it's a little uneven, but I can fix that up. I'll fix that up. But yeah, tomorrow, same time, guys. I haven't played it in a little while, so I want to get as much progress for it as possible. The Lion Song. Do you guys remember? We were playing the Lion Song before I stopped, streaming for a week or whatever. The Lion Song. I want to continue that because I was having a lot of fun, making commentary and, doing, mini analysis into it. But it's a fun game. It's a nice and relaxing game as well. I can, easily talk about other topics. I hope it's fun to watch. I don't know if it's fun to watch. I hope it is. But I'll be playing it tomorrow. So we'll be continuing Lion Song. And depending on how long I can last streaming, I'll try and finish the whole game. Because next week I want to do stuff like Pokemon and that kind of thing, I'm watching Pokemon now, I'm commentating to it and stuff like that, but I actually do want to play a little bit of ranked ladder and VGC, just play it on my own, right? Play it for the stream. And there's also a new Pokemon format coming up, so new rules before Scarlet and Violet comes out. So that'll be a lot of fun to check out. Oh, before I go, yes. Before I go, there was one thing. Okay, so not particularly relevant for everyone, but if you have Pokemon Sword and Shield and you are interested in playing it, or you're interested in collecting Pokemon for Sword and Shield, there is... Where is it? Yee! I had it. Oh, hold on. They are currently giving out a Victini. So, a legendary mystical Pokemon, Victini. Very cute. Fire Psychic type. And what you can do is, you can go into the mystery gift for Pokemon Sword and Shield. And if you enter, let me just pull it up. If you enter, wait a sec. What? Hold on. If you enter the code, there we go. If you enter this code, okay, the O is actually a 0. Okay, Just keep that in mind. W0RLD22V1CT0RY. So World 2020, World 22 victory, but then, you know, the I is a 1 and then the O's are zeros. If you enter this code into Pokemon Sword and Shield mystery gift, you will receive a Victini. Alright, so legendary Pokemon. Mystical legendary Pokemon Victini. Very cute Pokemon. Has a ribbon too. And so Pokemon, the Pokemon company they're officially giving this Pokemon away. So if you have Pokemon Sword and Shield and you're interested in receiving this Pokemon, then there is your code right there. World 2022 or World 22 victory. But I think that'll be it for tonight. So yeah, like I was saying, we'll be playing a little bit of Lion Song tomorrow, guys. And I know most of you in chat have already seen this. Most of you in chat have probably already seen this, but you know, talk about Lion Song. What's Lion Song, Toru? What's Lion Song? Shit! No, wait, that's not it. Oh my god. Okay, wait. What's Lion Song? No, that's not it either. Ah, that's not it. What am I doing? No, that's the wrong skit. Give me the right skits. No. Okay. So, what's Lion Song, Toru? I've asked you like 6 times already. This is Lion Song. Humbumbawe. Humbumbawe. A wimbawe, 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 a wimbawe. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the giant jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Oh, humbumbawe. Humbumbawe. In the village, the peaceful village, the lion sleeps tonight. Near the village, the quiet village, the lion sleeps tonight. Oh, humbumbawe. Humbumbawe. Wait, the Lion Song is what? It's a narrative adventure game set against the backdrop of early 20th century Austria? Excuse me? What am I doing here? I hope... Well, it's probably too late to get a refund on my plane tickets, isn't it? Alright, there we go. So, that's Lion Song, guys. I hope that that video was very instructive and you guys, you know, got a good grasp of what Lion Song is, you know. So there we go. But no, thank you for coming along. Before I go, I will be a nasty self-shill and link my YouTube channel, right? So there's a link to my YouTube. And the reason why is because, you know, based on my schedule, I guess I can show that too. Based on my schedule, I want to go ahead and, you know, do a lot of, you know, various like YouTube things, like YouTube content, blah, blah, blah. There we go. Here we go. So every week, I'm going to do like 3 different things, you know? And then the idea is that when I settle down at my new role, at my new job, I will have time to do more. But for the time being, I will do 3 things a week, right? An ongoing schedule. And so we have Wednesday, which is a weekly YouTube upload. Thursday, which is this chatting stream. And Friday, which is tomorrow, which is going to be more gaming oriented. So I'll be more focused and, just playing games and stuff like that. But yeah, I do highly recommend... I do highly recommend that you guys check out my YouTube channel because I do plan to upload more content there. I'm having so much fun with it. I really enjoy the video editing process, and I've got a whole bunch of other things that I want to put there in the future. But yeah, I think I'm gonna finish for tonight, guys. I'm gonna finish for tonight because I do need to prep lunch for tomorrow and get to bed and soon and stuff like that. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming along. I really appreciate your presence. I know that following me around as a streamer can be kind of a little annoying because there are times when I'm a little inconsistent, let's just say, with my output, right? With my output, I'm a little inconsistent, but I do really appreciate you guys sticking around, saying hello, that kind of thing, and it gives me a warm fuzzy feeling inside. So thank you. With this sort of schedule, I'm really hoping that I can keep to it and put out some really enjoyable stuff to watch in the future. So, you guys that are here, I hope you guys are, continue to be here and be on the ground floor for the grand incline of Toru. Or who knows? But yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming along. Thank you so much from Toru to you. Thank you. Take care of yourselves. Look after yourselves, guys. And I hope to see you all around next time. Thank you. Oh, also, just before I finish things up, Setsu was asking me earlier if I would do the the boy smell meme, and then I told Setsu, oh, I'll do it if you bring it up in stream, but he didn't, so I'm not going to. Ha ha ha.